All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome once again to the Enhanced Sports Talk Show. My name is Louis Sonora, and I'll be your host for the next roughly 2 hours or so. It's gonna be a murky looking Saturday here in the New York, New Jersey area. Getting ready for the big snow. I wish it wouldn't come, but it looks like it's headed this way. Don't forget the number is 512-543-4662. Once again, 512-543-4662. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in thehandsportsshow.com and you're there. Don't forget, Russell coming up at 6 o'clock, and Kevin Dixon returning shortly with his program on Monday nights. All right, we got a lot to discuss, especially your football fans out there. So let me bring in the crew here. Come in, Steve Davidson. Steve Kent. Right. Okay. Diane. All right. Vicky. And Alan. Alan. Okay. I was gonna say, come on, wherever you are, but you're here. All right. So why don't we begin with a recap of last week's um, playoff wildcard games? Some are more wild than others. If you get the point, I was kind of thinking in the first game that was going to be a much closer. It was going to be more like the Chargers taking control after building up an early lead, and I thought they were going to run away with the game, but much to my surprise, it didn't turn out that way. I mean, the Chargers had a 6-0 lead in the second quarter and going into the half, and naturally, and the Texans kind of flat there. But in the second half, it was a completely different game as the Texans just rolled over the Chargers, 32-12. Um, Herbert had a career high 4 times with a 4 touchdowns and a 32-12 win over the Chargers and clinched the wild card playoff. C.J. Stroud had a great game too of 200 passing yards and a touchdown. Also, Mixon had 106 passing rushing yards, 25 carries, and a touchdown. And McConkey, I don't think he's ready to fill McConkey if Lewis will play for the Giants. 197 receiving yards and a touchdown. So I was a little bit surprised at the way the game was going in the first half. Texans looked kind of slow, but they picked up their game after that. So any thoughts in the first game? Steve Davis, I'll start that with you. Steve, Steve, speak up. I can't really hear you. No, not really. All right, Steve Kent. Yeah, yeah, right. Steve Kent, any thoughts? First game, Texans Chargers. Yeah, mhm, right. Yes, yes, well, right. I agree. Yes. Oh, I would imagine so. I mean, the Chiefs got a home field advantage. I mean, they played well all year. This could be a runaway game right there. I hate to say it. All right, Mike. Yeah, right. All right, Mike. Your thoughts? You can say that again. No, they really didn't. Well, the momentum shifted. Let's put it that way in the second half. Diane. Yeah, like I said, it completely changed in the second half. I don't know what I don't know why Houston was like falling asleep in the first half, but they woke up and took care of that right there. All right, moving on to the second game. Okay, second game of the day yesterday was well. I kind of thought this was gonna be a mismatch anyway, as the Ravens did take on the beat up on the Steelers 28-14. I mean, look, Jackson and the duo of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, if they're on their game, you can't stop them. Pittsburgh can do all they can, but the Ravens have, a much stronger offense than the Steelers. Yeah, yeah, and the Steelers just couldn't match up with it. So I kind of had a strong feeling from the beginning. that the Ravens were just going to overtake the Steelers. I mean, it looked like maybe towards late in the game the Steelers were trying to make a run, but I really didn't see that happening. So Jackson and Henry, the dynamic duo, led the way as the Ravens ran over the rival Steelers 28-14 and now advanced to the second round. Wilson, 270 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 186 rushing yards, 26 carries, and 2 touchdowns. And Pickens had 87 receiving yards and a touchdown. It could have been more of a blowout loss, but with the Ravens being the Steelers. So we're lucky at the way it did end. But I really think the Ravens are just going to take complete control of that game. With the Steelers, yeah, well, they're not like they used to be, and of course, you know, I mean, it's past the Ben Roethlisberger era now, and now with Jackson and Henry, of course, taking over Ravens, they can make a strong run here. I think they'll take the next game and make it the AFC Championship. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself right now. So, what was everybody's thoughts on Ravens Steelers last week? Steve Davis, I'll start that with you. Yeah, yeah, right. Well, you just said the magic words right there: total domination. That's what they were. With those two on their game, there's no way that can be missed. It could have been a lot worse, mean, but they're lucky it was only 28-14. Steve Kent, your thoughts? Yeah, that's the kill right there. Yeah. Hmm. Uh, yes. Right. No. Yeah, he is. I can get borderline. Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. No, this is completely different Wilson. And 35-36. That's like a call borderline. Um, once you hit that age, because your body starts deteriorating. After taking all the hits and whatnot, and you're not as fast as you used to be, whatnot. So it does kind of catch up with you. Alan, your thoughts? You went 36. Okay. Okay, Alan, your thoughts? No. Okay, Mike or Diane. Okay, Diane. Diane, any thoughts? Yeah, all right. I'll give you that. But I kind of have a bad feeling about this. So, and Greg is here too. Greg, your thoughts on any of the games so far? Yes. Down. Right. Yeah. Yeah. A one side score, of course. Yeah, you can say that again. Right. All right. Moving along. All right. This was a mismatch in the first game on Sunday. Bills or Broncos, 31-7 was the Josh Allen show right there. I mean, no question. Allen had 272 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Cook had 23 carries, 120 rushing yards, and 1 touchdown. Sutton had 75 receiving yards. No contest. I knew the Bills were going to win that, especially on their home field. That, I mean, Denver didn't even look like they forgot to show up. So that was it right there. There was no way I don't think the Broncos had a chance. I think most of us can agree with that. Right, Steve? Mhm. Anyone else? Right? Yeah. No, you can't. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, but like I said, I really didn't think they had much of a chance on that at all. So yeah. Anyone else think differently? I know Diane, I know you thought the Bills were gonna overtake in the beginning right then and there. I knew it right there. Yeah. Yeah. Mike? Yes. Mhm. Yeah. Mm. Yes. All right, moving to the second game. I thought this game was going to be a bit closer. The Eagles and the Packers. I mean, I thought it was going to be the best matchup of the day. Packers just didn't look like they had a lot in 'em, to be honest, and they just look flat. Eagles, well, was close in the beginning, but the Eagles just had too much power. Especially with Barkley. I mean, Barkley is like the star player on the team now. Hurts tossed two interceptions, and Goddard threw three stiff arms as the Eagles took over 22-10, and Smith had 55 receiving yards. I really thought it was going to be a closer game. I really thought maybe the Packers would have a chance because these were two teams that had, well, I shouldn't say really even records, but they kind of had like the same kind of style here and hitting that playoff matchup. I thought it was going to be, more interesting, but it turned out to be that way. So the Eagles now move on, but I got to tell you, from what I'm reading in this report, the Eagles look a bit banged up because let me show you because they have some injuries um, as last week's game. Tight end Dallas Goddard went to practice yesterday, but he was injured. Also had an illness. He's recovered from an illness from the day before, and he's been banged up. He's had injuries and also had a hamstring strain earlier this season. Although he had a pretty good out, a decent outing last week, 4 passes for 19 yards. But they're looking like a little bit of a train wreck here. I mean, AJ Brown was in limited practice Thursday after being a full participant during Friday's session. He was on the injury report with a knee injury and rest. Defensive tackle Brian Young has a hamstring problem and is the only Eagles player ruled out against the Rams. So it looks like the Eagles are a little bit banged up here. So can they handle the next round, guys? There's gonna be some problems ahead. Steve, I'll start that with you. Steve Davidson. Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Yeah. Yes. Yes. Pretty much. Yeah, I kind of thought so. I guess I just expected too much. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, I remember that. 2011, right? Yeah. I say stay healthy as much as you possibly can, because one injury can turn the whole game around. I mean, you think in complete control and they get hit by injury, and the momentum I think starts to shift to the other side. So you got to try and stay healthy as much as possible, because one injury can change the whole complex of the game. At least the way I think about it. Okay, anybody else, or I'll move on. Yeah. All right. So moving on. Now the next game I thought was going to be a washout. I mean a blowout completely. Boy was I wrong. The Commanders and the Bucks nip and tuck all the way through 23-20, and I really thought that, Washington was going to be unstoppable. But the Bucks just kept hanging in there, and it turned to be a very competitive game, the most competitive game of the day, probably the whole first round. Uh, Daniels had 268 passing yards and two touchdowns. Irving had 77 rushing yards on 17 carries, and Evans had 92 receiving yards on one touchdown. And it was the Commanders' first playoff win in an eon ago. Oh boy, 7,000 days. That's a long time. 7,000 days. I don't think some people here were even alive when that happened. I think. And just when I thought it was going to go to overtime, they went on the doink, just like in that field goal. Steve, you had to be. I mean, you had to be ecstatic when that moment happened, like right on the doink. Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. We'll get the predictions for this week's games in a few minutes. Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. Ego. Right. I'll tell you though what I think. Okay. Anyone else before I move on? All right. I mean, I think probably the biggest shock was the Ram. I mean, the Vikings losing the Rams. I mean, okay, yeah, Rams had the home game, but I think Minnesota was a much better team. But they just got flattened. You know, began with Arizona due to the fires. But I mean, this was the mismatch from the beginning. I mean, the Vikings did so well all season. They just came out against the Rams. It was terrible. It's almost like game was unwatchable. So Sam Darnold was the big hero with 245 passing yards and a touchdown. Williams had 76 rushing yards on 16 carries, and Hawkinson had 64 receiving yards and a touchdown. And I really thought, the Vikings, they were strong all year, and then they hit a roadblock and they couldn't recover from it. 27-9. I mean, I don't think anybody expected that. I think it was supposed to be the other way around, but they just, ugh. I mean, that just an ugly game for Vikings fans. It seems like, they do so well in the regular season, and then when it comes time to the playoffs, they just lose it. I mean, you were 14-3, 14-3, and you choked for sure. Ugh. I mean, I was like, yeah, exactly. You mean you saw a ghost? You saw a ghost? Yeah, I think so too. Mm. Roger, any thoughts on the playoff games from last week? Yeah, yeah, right. Yes. All right, so yeah, the San Darnold of old. Right. Okay, so let's move on to predictions. I'll get to predictions now. Right now, actually, the Chiefs are up 3-0 already. Could be a long afternoon for Texas. For Texas, let me say that right now. Looks like it might be in the last roundup. All right, so it's 3-0 right now. I know it's early, but this could be ugly in a hurry. All right, so C. Davidson, did the Chiefs win this game, or did they win by a blowout? Yeah. Steve Davidson. I'm sorry, Steve Kent. Steve Kent. Yeah, I know. Correct. Alan. Okay, Roger. Yeah, yeah, okay. Mike? Yes. All right, well, we're doing one game at a time, though, man. But I see your point. Diane, what do you make for this game? You'll probably go with the Chiefs anyway. I can tell. All right, game two, which is later on tonight. Commanders, Lions. Oh, Steve, who you got taking this game? Okay, Steve Kent, who do you got in this game? The next game, rather. Yes, yes, of course. Right. Okay. Alan. Roger. Okay, Mike. Okay, okay, and Diane. I'm going with the Lions too. All right, tomorrow's games. Uh, where'd it go? Oh, for tomorrow's game, listen carefully. Rams, Eagles. D. Davidson. All right, Steve Kent. If they lose this game, they will call for his head. Yes, of course. Okay, Alan. Mhm. Okay. Uh, okay, Roger. Mhm. Right. Alex, yeah, your thoughts. Bad weather. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Mike, Diane. So am I. And it's supposed to be an ugly day tomorrow, especially that rain, snow, 34 degrees. They might not get as much snow as as we're gonna get. Oh boy, it's gonna be murder. So it may be a long day, and you might want to go back to LA before the game was over. All right. Yeah. Okay. And the last game, Ravens Bills. Diane. Duh. That's why I went to you first. Uh, Steve. Steve Davidson. Yeah. Right. All right. Steve Kent. Of course. Of course. Alex. Roger. Well, if there's any indication of what we saw with the one of the games last week with the Vikings, they had the better record, even though the Rams are home field advantage. I really don't believe in it. I really don't. So I gotta look at it that way. Mike and Diane. I know. I'm sorry. No, I got. I know I missed somebody. Alan. Yes. No, sorry. Yes. Now I'm gonna flip a question. Flip a question here. Now this question has no right or wrong answer. So, just you just go what you feel. Who would you like to see in the Super Bowl? I mean, we won't have an answer until next Sunday's championship games, of course. That will determine who goes. But in your own opinion, who would you want to see in the Super Bowl? I know I've got. So, Steve Davidson, start with who do you want to see in the Super Bowl? Ravens Chiefs. Steve Kent. Interesting choice. I like that. I like that. I like that. Uh, ooh, I like that. Alex. Alan. Right. Mike. All right. Diane. Eagles and Bills. Okay. Well, I mean, as it looks right now, it looks like I think it's going to be the Chiefs and the Lions. But you know what? I think the Ravens Lions looks to be like a more interesting matchup. So I'm gonna look at that as an alternate. So we'll see. All right, college game was Monday night, the college football championship, thankfully. And of course, as I said last week, it was a matchup I think nobody expected. I mean, the top teams were out, and we're now left with Notre Dame and Ohio State. I mean, two historic programs that, of course, but they haven't won in quite some time. Notre Dame hasn't won since my senior year in high school. Yuck, which is a shame. And Ohio State hasn't won in quite a while either. So it looks like, it's an old school matchup. Two great rivalries together, battling for a championship. So, Steve Davidson, uh, who do you got, and what are the keys to win? College championship. Uh, okay. All right. Steve Kent. Okay. Okay. Right. Alex. Alex. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Mike. Okay. Diane. Roger. Yeah, I'm gonna go Notre Dame too. I am waiting to see them get their first championship since dog's age, and I'm hoping they got nobody expected them to get anywhere. Even against past Georgia, but they have really shown why they belong here. And Ohio State, the last time, whenever they get it, but of course, last time that Notre Dame went to the championship, oh boy, they just got blown out pretty badly. But I think they can learn from that now. So I'm going to go with Notre Dame. And remember, it's Monday night, 7:30 is the kickoff time, unless that's the pregame. But I'm looking forward to it. Okay, Steve. Okay, Steve, your WWE UFC report. Go. Yeah. Okay, Diane, your boxing trivia. The Brown Bomber. Yeah. Too late. Birmingham Blizzard. No. 2 for 2. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. 3. Funny thing is that once upon a time when Mike and I were young, and Steve, boxing was 15 rounds. Then it shrunk down to 12. I don't know why it happened, but ever since like the 1980s or something, it did just shrunk down to 12 rounds. I mean, these guys are physically, capable of going 15. I wonder what happened. The style sure changed, hasn't it? Hasn't it, Steve? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now we'll move on. And next week, of course, is the championship Sunday. So get ready for that one if you dare. I don't think so, Steve. Uh huh. Yeah, any given starting. Yeah, right. All right. Okay. Hmm. Right. Okay. Moving on to the NBA now. Okay. So here we go. Joel Embiid suffers swelling again in his right knee and will miss the next seven games, including three on the road. It's the latest injury for the Sixers center, who has missed 13 games this season so far, and you wonder why they're struggling in the standings. He missed the last 6 games with a sprained left foot. The Sixers center Friday Embiid recovered from his foot injury, but experienced swelling once again after a workout on Thursday. So he's back to where he started from. After consulting with team medical staff and outside doctors, MB will be receive medical treatment and will be reevaluated in about 9 days from now, 10 as of yesterday. The three-game road trip is between the Pacers, the Bucks, and the Nuggets. So, and you wonder why that they're struggling so much this year. I mean, without Embiid, I don't think the Sixers gonna have much of a chance to do any playoff contentions this year. Any thoughts? Yeah, your Wizards are trash. Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, not at all. Yeah. Mm, yeah. He came back though. He came back yesterday. He's on his way back though. If he's not already. Yeah. Shit. Yeah. I mean, it's just last year they were playoff contenders, but yeah, yeah, yeah. This is not the same. This is not the same Sixers team that made it to the playoffs last year. It's gonna be a tough stretch. And with the All Star game coming up in a few weeks, well, that's gonna maybe tell the tale right there. All right, moving on. The Nuggets not only lost the Rockets on Wednesday, but they got some bad news as well. So it was a double whammy. The Joker was ruled out shortly before tip off with an elbow injury, In a post-game press conference, Nuggets head coach Mike Malone said the three-time MVP suffered the injury in warm-ups. He claimed it popped at the last minute. Nothing worse than that. You're ready for the game and like, oops, something got me. Okay. Yeah. Back to the locker room you go, buddy. So Malone said he has no word on how serious the injury could be, since he had not spoken to trainers at that particular time. Jokic was officially ruled out after with elbow inflammation. He was not listed though on the injury report before the game. Well, of course not. It was just happened just at the last minute, so obviously not. Duh. Jokic is averaging 30.6 points per game with 13.2 rebounds and 9.9 assists. Not bad. He also has, I hate when these come up. He also hit 55.5% of his shots from the field and 47% from 3-point range. The Nuggets are hoping that Jokic's elbow injury is not serious. It's kind of hard to tell when you think about it. I mean, nobody's even spoke to it, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a short-term injury. I don't think there's anything too much to worry about. So I think he's back within about a week or so. I mean, we got to see how serious the injury is. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hmm. Right. And the Suns strike a deal with center Nick Richards Wednesday afternoon. According to ESPN, the exchange, the Suns will send guard Josh Okogie to the Hornets along with two first, second round picks. The Suns will also receive a future second round pick from the Hornets as part of the deal. Though this isn't the blockbuster deal the Suns have been hoping for, linked to recently, Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler said he's demanding a trade before the All Star game. We're still waiting on that soap opera to end. So I'll keep posting on that. The Suns are reportedly on one of the active teams to land before next month's trade deadline. Richards is averaging 8.9 points per game, 7.5 rebounds this season. He was selected second the second round of the 2020 draft out of Kentucky, a very fine basketball school that is. And did most of his work for the Hornets coming off the bench in the past 4 seasons. And he's also at 65% of the field, good enough for fifth best in the league in that span. Richards is in the second year of his 3-year, $15 million deal. Okogie has averaged 6 points and 2.9 rebounds his third season in the desert. He's in the first of a 2-year deal with 16 million. The Suns, though, are not doing that. Are doing mediocre at best, 19-20, and did face the Wizards. Though the Suns have won 4 of their last 6, it came on the heels of losing 7 of 8 and made changes to the starting lineup. And although Richards won't fix the problem with the Suns entirely, he is a welcome addition to the team because they kind of desperately need it. Because when you get to this point in the season now, guys, the All Star game is now 4 weeks away, and you have less games to play when you reach that point. So now will be the time to make the change, and hopefully the Suns can make something happen once the second half of the year begins. So it's going to be a very long season in the desert, as we say. And you want to talk about now? Let's put it this way, guys. You've heard me say about losses. Now there are losses, and then there are losses, and none was more ugly than when the Nets uh, lost to the Clippers on Wednesday night. You ready for this? You ready for this score, guys? You ready for this? Guess what the final score was? Nobody wants to guess. 126 to 6. 126 to 67. Disgusting. Disgusting indeed. Kawhi Leonard did the damage, 23 points, as the Clippers pulled their largest margin of victory in franchise history, 59 points. Ugh. Eesh. James Harden, you could say that again, guys. James Harden. Yeah, I know. 102, 101. I know. Hey, a loss is a loss, but some are worse than others. So, um, they had much lead as much as 64, which is even worse. The 59 point margin is tied for the 10th largest in NBA history. So if you're wondering, was that a record? No, far from it. It got worse. So Leonard was 8 for 11 from the field in 24 minutes on the court in only his first game of the season, as he was silent with knee issues for much of the year. The loss by the Nets, however, was the worst margin of loss in team history, and it was also the lowest score in the league this season, 67 points. You wonder how they would come back Friday night and lose by 1 point, which was more respectable. But losing a game like that, I don't even know if it's even acceptable to be in the NBA. Ugh. Like a junior, like a bunch of kids from junior high school. That kind of performance. I mean, that was horrible. Why I didn't watch that? Because I would like, ugh. The previous record in loss was 50 points against the Rockets back in October of 1978 when they were known as the New Jersey Nets. If you think I'm doing the theme song from that, you're crazy. Forget it. So the Clippers had won two straight at that point after losing 4 of 5. Luckily, they did bounce back a little bit last night, even though they still lost, by 1 point. But hey, a loss is a loss. But that was ugly. Ah. All right. And the good news if you're a Clipper, Lakers fan, both teams are in the respective arenas right now after the wildfires. They did play on Monday night, and they've announced 3 new dates for the postponements. The changes will affect 9 teams for the listen carefully this list, guys. The Lakers, Clippers, Hawks, Hornets, Rockets, Bulls, Wizards, Blazers, and Jazz. Did you get all that? Good. The league did not announce a new date for the Lakers Spurs game that was scheduled for January 11th when all this began. Ugh, horrible. The Lakers and Clippers did return their home courts on Monday. I think a group does better when you draw strength from each other, said Lakers head coach JJ Redick. That's true, and give hope and joy. Sports are a lot of things that can provide comfort and escape from the problems of the world, which just has happened. I mean, it's been an awful January so far, guys. I mean, what happened with New Orleans and now this. I mean, January has not been kind in the sports world or in general at all. So hopefully now with the Lakers and Clippers back where they are, at least we can find some solace in all this because I think we need it. I think we need solace right now and forget about all the problems that are going on here and abroad. So let's hope we can make it better as the months of the year go on. Ugh, just horrible. Okay. Uh, More moving on here. All right. Well, there seems to be, of course, there's a rash of burglaries happening with athletes, as you might as well know. I think you guys have been familiar with that, right? Um, some of the Kansas City Chiefs have been broken into and everything. So, well, we have another one. Penguin star Ingve Malkin, his home was burglarized over last weekend, and his 3 Stanley Cup rings were missing, but now have been found. Thank goodness. Malkin, who played last season's game against the Kraken, confirmed the reports of the robbery and stolen rings to the Athletic by a text. The Pens also confirmed that the robbery did not go into details. Well, of course not. Uh, Called it? Yeah. Did not go into details. They were working with local authorities and team security, Pittsburgh said in a statement. Malkin requests his privacy, as he's entitled to, and be respectful during this time, and we're not making more comments at that point. The robbery took place at Malkin's residence in Sewickley, Pennsylvania, which is a suburb of Pittsburgh. But as of yesterday, the stolen rings have been found. So good news on that. Boy, but there's been such a rash of it lately. First with NFL players, I think some NBA players got involved, got some robberies, and now the NHL. I mean, it doesn't stop. Hmm. Hmm. Just been a complete rash of robberies around here, and it's kind of disturbing when you think about it. But they all They all want a piece of the pie, I guess. You know. All right, so I'm gonna try and find some baseball news here. I don't know if anybody's been keeping up with the off-season moves as much as I have, and there's been quite a few of them. Where is that story? Oh, yeah, it's official. Japanese sensation rookie Roy Sasaki is now a Dodger. He announced the deal on Friday on his Instagram. Sasaki was considered the best pitcher in the world already, well, not already under an MLB organization. He will receive a $6.5 million signing bonus, reported by the LA Times. The Blue Jays and Padres were also in contention as well. In parts of four seasons for the Latte Marines of the Nippon League, he compiled a 2.35 ERA and a 5.76 strikeout minus the walk ratio, which is by far the best in the best by an active starting pitcher's jump from the Nippon League to the majors. He threw a perfect game with 19 strikeouts in April 2022. Here's the English translation of his post. He said, and I quote, well, he quoted, I signed a minor league deal with the Dodgers. It was a very difficult decision, but I had to do, well, but I do my best to make the right decision. And when I look back on my baseball career, I want to slip on the sleeve of a Dodgers uniform at that opening conference, thanking everyone for taking me this far. Given his age and lack of service time, Sasaki was classified by MLB as an amateur free agent and was subject to international bonus pools. He can only sign a minor league deal, and his signing bonus was capped at 8.2 million in change. There is an original 5.1 million plus bonus pools, plus the additional 60% of each team is allowed to acquire via a trade. Uh, to get this 6.5 million, the Dodgers must acquire an additional 1.3 million in bonus pool space by this coming Thursday. Wow. Soon after the announcement was made, the Dodgers made separate deals in sending minor league deals, sending minor league outfielders Dylan Campbell and to the Phillies and Orlando Lagutina to the Reds for undisclosed sums and international pool money. The Dodgers announced bonus pool spaces that can only be traded in increments of $250,000, nothing to sneeze at. Neither Campbell or Lagutina are ranked among the top 30 prospects per MLB reports. So the Dodgers get another Japanese pitcher and thinking that's going to add more to that and may make a run at second consecutive World Series. But I don't know about that. I mean, I kind of think it's going to be, um, it's tough to repeat, as you know, guys. We got something here from Georgia. Is this what I think it is? Georgia, you're on. Grant, how are you? My Wednesday crew. Yeah, we're just doing some baseball talk. What do you make of the Japanese sensation coming over to the Dodgers? Is it going to be another runaway? Do you think we got a chance to repeat? Mm, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And somebody wrote a comment on this and said, "Let's go Dodgers." Oh, ah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you get good solid pitching, but you got good solid hitting too. You know, but it doesn't mean you're going to win. I mean, you do get these, pitchers and whatnot, but it is not going to guarantee you success year after year. Somehow they're going to fall off the top of the mountain. Right. Mhm. Yes. Right. Looks that way. It does look that way, and I think they're going to have another great season. opponent, but I don't think it's going to be another runaway to the World Series. At least I hope not. Yes, right. Show me the money, Otani. Back, yeah, fortunately, right. And it's 6-3 now, Kansas City. Okay, this might be a good game after all. Hey, Mikey, I got some news for you. The Mets agreed to terms with lefty reliever AJ Minter on Friday, adding one of the Braves' top bullpen arms in the process. Ooh, Brett, that might be some bad news to you. Okay. According to reports, Minter's deal with the Mets is at 2 years and 22 million. That includes an opt-out after the season. Already? Wow. He underwent hip surgery in September involving a lab repair and a lesion on the femur. Oof, injury prone indeed. He originally delayed the surgery with a month's rest, uh, idling, idling from May until he returned in July of last season. There was briefly a positive upturn in the results, but Minter allowed or walked a hit to 8 of his 16 batters he faced in his last 3 appearances. The one they lost in the playoffs. I could still pitch. I could still pitch. The pain was not that severe, said Minter in September, but I knew there was something wrong, and I needed to have the problem fixed because I was not helping my teammates. Of course, you can't when you're injured. Minter compiled a respectable 3.28, 3.2 ERA in 308 innings in 422 strikeouts. Not bad. He had 15 saves in the 2018 season from a heavy draft class from 2015 that include Austin Riley and Mike Soroka. So, Mikey, I think it's good news for you with getting one of the best relievers in the game. Yeah, I know it's terrific. But Brett, I gotta ask you, how's that gonna be looking for your Braves coming into the season? Yeah, Brett? Yeah, right. Even without him, do you still think that you can do without his services? Do you think they can contend? Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah, yeah. All right, turning on to more baseball now. The Mariners signed infielder Donovan Solano on a one-year deal back on Monday. According to a published report, Solano will make 3.5 million this season. The top flight utility player can play all four infield spots as well as left field. The Mariners will be Solano's 17th to play for. Last season, he had 8 RBIs, 8 home runs, and 35 RBIs in 96 games. Solano bat 279 with 40 home runs and 279 RBIs in 916 games overall with the Marlins, Giants, Yankees, Reds, Twins, and Padres. A utility player. The Mariners designated left-hander Austin Kitchen for assignment with a corresponding move. Kitchen was on one with an ERA of, listen to this, guys, 14 and 14 with one start. Well, he was 14 and 14 in one start. Marlins with the Marlins last season. The Marlins designated Kitchen for assignment in September, on September 7th, and was claimed up for waivers 2 days later. Eh, still, it's yeah. Mariners need some work though. I'm not too impressed with them, and I don't think it's gonna do much here either. So we'll have to wait and see about that. Um, Turning to basketball now, I gotta ask a question, guys, because this came up um, in a in a comment this past week. Now, there's also been, of course, speaking generation wise, who'd be the best player. I mean, in the '80s, it was probably Jordan. Well, of course, '90s, right? It had to be, I think, maybe. I think I would say Kobe. Now you got, of course, LeBron. If it were to be possible to have, those players like play today, who do you think would stand out? You know, who do you think LeBron would be able to match up against Jordan if that was possible? Now I'm going to rule out, of course, um, between Kareem and Jordan because they played against each other, and of course they played together in a final back in 1991. Unfortunately, the Bulls won that series, and the Lakers just looked awful. But how do you think it would stack up between LeBron and MJ if they were to play against each other in today's game? How do you think it would stack up? It's a freebie, guys. Anybody can answer, no right or wrong. The mailman, sure. Oh, yeah, okay, but now wait a second. Wait a second. Let me ask you this: would it be the Jordan of the Bulls, or would it be the Jordan of the last few years with the Wizards? No offense, Steve, but with the Wizards, he was not good. Right. Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Well, if they were playing each other, LeBron and Jordan against each other, who do you think would stack up better? How would it stack up? I'm asking you, Mike. You think LeBron would beat out Jordan? Okay, That's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear. Your honest opinion. I don't know. I mean, well, like every era, every decade seems kind of like the new star and whatnot. I kind of think maybe LeBron would have it because, like I said, Jordan had a shot back in the '90s, but then when he went over to Washington, he kind of lost it. Went out, and LeBron was in his prime and whatnot. So I think maybe LeBron. I even think maybe Kobe would stand out against Jordan as well. Rest his soul. It's a different era now. I mean uh, this decade's go-to player is not the same as it was back 20, 30 years ago. So we got to look at that. It's pretty much a generational question if you ask me. Every generation does something different. All right, moving on. The Red Sox signed a one-year deal with outfielder Jaron Duran, not Duran Duran, but just Duran, on Friday and avoids arbitration. This Duran will earn 3.7 million this season and has an $8 million club option for 2026 with a buyout of $100,000. We call it a buyout. Yeah. He can earn additional 150,000 in performance bonuses this season. Fan side, reported the option includes escalations based on 2025 MVP voting, including 2 million for a top 10 finish, 4 million if he wins the award, and he finished eighth this past season. Looks like a good deal for Red Sox fans, doesn't it? How much does it pains me to say that, though? Okay. The Cubs have the new outfielder Kyle Tucker agreed to a 1 year, $16.5 million deal for this upcoming season and avoids arbitration. ESPN and several outlets reported that on Thursday. The Cubs acquired Tucker from the Astros in a trade last month. That's infielder Isaac Padres and right-hander Hayden Wensky and the 2024 first-round pick Cam Smith to Houston. But it appears both sides would head to arbitration after Tucker filed a 17.5 million, and the Cubs for 15 million earlier this month. Tucker is changing teams for the first time in his career after spending 7 seasons with the Astros. In 633 games for the Astros, Tucker has batted 274 with 125 home runs, 135 doubles, and 417 RBIs. He's a three-time All-Star, but he missed 3 months of last season with a small fracture in his right shin from his own foul ball in early June. What a way to get injured, folks. So, can Tucker bring the Cubs back to glory, where they once were? Or is it going to be another downward season for the Cubs? They haven't played like they have like it's been 2016. They've been on a downward spiral for quite a while now. So can Tucker help this franchise? 12-3 right now. Anybody? Anybody have any answers? Okay. By the way, it's Chiefs are up 13-3 in the second quarter. Looks like the route might be on. Maybe. Oh, Steve, I got some news for you. Commanders linebacker Bobby Wagner returned to practice on Thursday and is expected to play in tonight's divisional game against the Lions. Wagner missed the last 2 days with an ankle injury. He sustained the injury in last Sunday's win against the Bucks. He did a good job on the rehab part, but getting to see him on Wednesday, some good rehab in practice, he looked good, said Commanders head coach Dan Quinn on Thursday. Obviously, Wagner made a huge fumble recovery at the Tampa 13 early in the fourth quarter that's up for the touchdown, giving the Commanders a 2017 lead. Wagner also had 8 tackles and career with a half sack as the Commanders won their first playoff game in 19 years and won on the doink. The 9-time Pro Bowler and 6-time Pro started all 17 games in his first season with the Commanders. He had 132 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 passes defended, a forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries in the regular season. So, Steve, little incentive maybe? Yeah. So you don't see anything any good coming out of it? Wow. Even with Wagner's presence. Mm. Anybody else have any thoughts? Okay, I'll move on. I got some tennis news actually I want to bring up because the Australian Open um is now happening. So I'm gonna go to that. Yeah, I can't forget some tennis news. Oh, by the way, Shai Alexander, or SEG for short, sat out Friday's loss to the Mavericks with a sprained right wrist. He's the league's leading scorer and front runner for the MVP, and was a late addition to the injury report. The Thunder opted him to sit out after a brief warm-up routine. He wore a wrap around his wrist after Thursday's win against the Cavaliers. He felt pain after he fell during the game where he scored 40 points. He's played all 40 games so far, and the Thunder is now 34-6. He's averaging 31.6 points per game, 6.0 assists, 5.4 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1.1 blocks. Wow. Now that's those numbers I think are untouchable. Okay, so let me get that. Okay. Novak Djokovic needed assistance from a trainer after experiencing breathing trouble on Friday. He went back and forth with a loud spectator, but after the ball was in play, it was an easy victory over Thomas Manchek in straight sets 6-1, 6-1, 6-4. When asked in a post match interview, the Joker said, I am very hot headed right now at the moment on things, so I will I will give a calm and diplomatic response to that later. I think I played well. I am very happy with the result of the game. I was surprised by with the result. The Joker converted 5 and 15 chances on Manchek's serve. The Joker amassed 28 winners to 20 unforced errors. Next up, he'll face Jari Lecheka, and the winner of that might possibly face Carlos Alcaraz, excuse me. So, a little bit of a scary moment for Djokovic, but I'm glad he's okay. So, just keep an update on that. And we'll do the men's and women's finals next week. So, be prepared, all you tennis fans out there. I got some more tennis news actually on the women's side. If you'll follow along with me here. All right. First up, Australian Open champion Naomi Osaka is out of the Australian Open after she was injured in the third round against Belinda Bencic. Osaka is playing in her first Grand Slam event since she went on maternity leave. Oh boy. Maternity leave. Osaka won her 4 majors, took a 4-1 lead. Oh, I'm getting these notes that are popping up here. Took a 4-1 lead in the first set before she struggled with an abdominal injury, calling for time at the set 6-5. Osaka continued to struggle against Bencic, dominating. Dominated the tiebreaker, and Osaka called it quits before the second set began. She gave birth to a baby girl in July 2023 and returned to action 6 months later. She lost the first round at last year's Australian Open and exited in the second round in the French and U.S. Opens and at Wimbledon. However, Osaka was impressive at Melbourne Park this week in beating Caroline Garcia before overcoming 20th seed Carolina Bachova in just under 2 hours. In the build-up to part of the Australian Open, she retired from the Auckland Classic with more abdominal pain. Bencic is playing her first major since giving birth to her daughter in April of last year, and will face either Coco Gauff, which is not going to be easy, or Leylah Fernandez in the next round. Kind of a shame, Osaka is a very good tennis player, and to have it like this with abdominal pain, it's kind of sad to have that happen. Diane, are you there? Diane? Steve, I'm hearing something on your end of the background. What is it? All right, so a tough break for Osaka, as she looked to be strong in this tournament, but now she's out of it, and well, we just wish her the best of luck. Speaking of Coco Gauff and the Australian Open, she battled Jessica Pegula, and they dedicated their first round to win to the Los Angeles State of Los Angeles and the Firefighters, who've been battling the raging wildfires. Gauff, one of the favorites to win the title, the 2020 champion Sofia Kenin in straight sets 6-3, 6-3 in the second round. Gauff wrote to say, stay strong, LA. Thank you, LA Firefighters on camera. And the cameraman's after the victory. it's just a shame that happened, but we thank you for that. She said that Taylor Fritz had previously, she and Taylor Fritz previously donated to a charity event to help those affected by the wildfires. Pajulo wrote LA and drew a left heart on the camera lens after her straight set win against Maya Joint of Australia 6-3, 6-0. Inga Swiatek of Poland and the number two seed signed Send All My Prayers and Love to LA. And remember, you guys know who Jessica Pegula's parents are, right? You guys know who her parents are? And the Sabres, and the Sabres. Well, that's a different story altogether. Yeah, they own both. They own both Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So, Daddy's watching. Yeah, and our thoughts and prayers are with you, with the city of LA, of course. Uh, speaking of prayers, I just want to take 1 minute. Um, I want to dedicate this show to a friend of mine and a few other people who know this show. So we lost a good friend this week. Her name was Nora. No, she never appeared on the show, but she was, I was like her big brother. We belonged to the same organization, and we kind of had like a little bit of a brother and sister relationship. She passed away this past week of a brain tumor at the age of 35. She was a very uh, kind person, very strong-willed, and we um we are going to miss her. Mike and Diane and I got a chance to know her very well. She was a very sweet girl, and Roger as well. I'm sorry about that, Raj. And she was, kind of athletic too in a way too. And just to see her taken away from that, just so young though, just was heartbreaking to hear the news that we found out on Wednesday. Guys, you want so my New Jersey crew? Do you want to say anything about it before we move on? Nothing. Yeah. How about you, Roger? Anything you want to say? I guess not. Diane, anything you want to say about Nora before we go on? Okay. Well, Nora, you will be missed. We rest in peace, my friend. Okay. Well, I know we don't follow much of the women's hockey league around here, but it's coming off and it's doing pretty well. In fact, they've made three stops into a nine-city takeover tour and has continued to make history. On Sunday, the league set a new attendance record in the U.S. in front of a record crowd as the Minnesota Frost defeated the Montreal Victory in Denver. These are all neutral site games, guys, so keep that in mind. And it's still 13-3 going. Okay. 13-3 with 20 seconds left in the half. Okay. The league is now in its second year and began the tour last week with a lively crowd in Seattle. Then on Wednesday in Vancouver, 19,038 fans filled a Rogers Stadium with a sellout crowd hitting just above stadium captivity as far as hockey games go. As far as potential expansion plans, the crowd in Denver chanted in unison, "We want a team." Why not? With that kind of response, I think they deserve a team. You have the Colorado Avalanche, but I think with this new league, I think it's really taken off, and I think more uh, teams are going to be added as the next few years go on. The league set a world attendance record twice last season with two matchups in Canada between Toronto and Montreal. The first took place on February 16th of last season at the Skybank Arena in Toronto in front of 19,285 fans, and the second was played in front of 21,104 fans at the Bell Center in Montreal on April 20th. Next up on the tour is Quebec City tomorrow, followed by stops in Edmonton, Buffalo, Detroit, Raleigh, North Carolina, and St. Louis. Just when you guys thought this wasn't going to take off and thought, just a fad, it's just another league, it'll never work because it can't compete with the big leagues. Well, I got a surprise for you. This league is taking off, and it's taking off in a hurry. So this has been a big success so far for the new uh, Women's Professional Hockey League, and I'm kind of impressed myself. Wow. I mean, usually it takes a new league to get off the ground like 5 or 10 years, but now this league has I think surprised everybody, even NHL fans. Yeah. All right. Well, Lindsey Vaughn finished sixth in the World Cup race, their first World Cup race since 2016, as she continues her comeback at age 40. Oh, yeah, like 40 is really old? Come on. Vaughn finished 58 100th of a second behind Frederica Bridjon. Vaughn accomplished that despite starting 32nd, a disadvantage because conditions were worse as the competition continued. Well, you got to put with the conditions, that's all I can tell you. Vaughn says she was happy to return. She knows this hill very well, so I know the challenges that were coming and was ready to execute. She was one of three Americans to finish in the top 15, with Lauren McKenna, who finished ninth, and Breezy Johnson, which I doubt is her real name, finishing 11th. Breezy Johnson. Okay. I like the name, but I don't think it's a real name. I like it, though. So Vaughn, age 40, and, Olympic champion, you know, I wish her the best as she's now in the late stages of her career. And I hope she does well. I mean, we got the Olympics next year to look forward to, and I think maybe she stands a good chance of making the team for next year. And I certainly wish her well. Mm. We got a friend that we know that is a big fan of Lindsey Vonn. I wish she was able to. I wish she would call in sometime, but I'll talk to her later about it. Okay, I got time for a few more notes here. Oh yeah, Jimmy Butler told Miami that Miami President Pat Riley in the face me that he still wants to be traded. What else is new? In that discussion, Butler told Riley they would not sign an extension and would use his $52 million player option for the 2025-26 season this summer in a way to help move a trade along. Okay, but just because you wish for it doesn't mean you're going to get it. The Butler saga, when it was reported last month, when Butler reported he wanted to change of scenery and prefers to be traded before next month's trade deadline. Butler and the Heat were not able to come to terms on a contract extension this offseason. The Christmas Day news led to Riley issuing a statement saying we are not trading Butler. Yeah, well, what are you going to do about it? While Butler was speaking to reporters last week, he said, I want to get my joy back from playing basketball, and whatever that may be, we will find out soon. I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here off the court, but I want to be able to bring something dominant. And right now, I'm not doing that. Well, that's your problem, Val. On January 3rd, the Heat suspended Butler 7 games for a conduct determinable to the team over the course of the season, especially over the last few weeks, and changed course saying that he wasn't to trade offers. Butler did return on Thursday before they played their first home game after a 6 game road trip. At the time of this article, they were 20 and 18 and seventh in the Eastern Conference. The Heat went 3-3 in his absence. What are you doing? Are you going to trade him or not? I mean, this is like just a soap opera now. Look, you got to trade him or not? The team says no, but he wants out. I mean, which way do you think it's going to go? Do you think he's going to stay in Miami or is he going to get out? I say he's going to get out. Well, that remains to be seen. He says he'll play anywhere, with a good trade offer. So we're still looking for that, right, Matthew? Matthew, I know you're there. All right, yeah. What do you make of it? Do you think Butler's going to trade, or is he going to stay there? And he's going to cave in. I mean, because it's just like a soap opera right now with this guy and the Miami Heat. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. How about you, Brett? What do you think? Brett? Brett? He lost his mic. All right. So, shall we go to this week in history? We still got time here. I want to get more. I want to get much in before Brasol comes in. 1947, Detroit Tigers sell Hank Greenberg to the Pirates for 25 to $35,000, which was rather expensive at the time. 1950, Cleveland Indians pitcher Bob Feller, after a 15-14 season, takes a $20,000 salary cut to 45,000 by his own suggestion. How about that? 1951, in the NFL draft, Kyle Rowe, that's Rote rather, from SMU, was the first pick by the New York Giants. Well, how about that? 1951, NFL rules: tackles, guards, and centers ineligible for forward passes. Interesting. 1951, NFL takes over the failing Baltimore Colts. 1955, in the fifth annual NBA All-Star Game, the East beat the West 191. Bill Sherman, a guard for the Boston Celtics, was MVP. Yuck. You know how I feel about the Celtics, guys. Right? Right. 1963, Al Davis becomes the head coach and general manager of the then known as the Oakland Raiders. You now call them Vegas Raiders. Let's see here. A lot of all-star material here. Oh, 1973, New York Islanders break a 12-game losing streak and 20 game road winless streak. Keep in mind, though, guys, they were fairly new at the time. Right? They're only their second year in existence. Actually, their first year of existence, because the Islanders first came in 1972. And of course, as in most cases, first year teams are usually, well, awful. And this was no exception. As we know, 8 years later, they won their first of four Super Bowls, four Stanley Cups. Yeesh. 1976, you know I hate the Islanders. Eric, Eric, buddy, I'm sorry. All right, 1976 in Super Bowl 10 at the Miami Orange Bowl, the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Dallas Cowboys 21-17. I remember that game very well. Wide receiver of Pittsburgh, Lynn Swan, MVP. Any of you guys remember that? I know I do. Yeah, that was a great. That was a great game. Yeah, of course. I mean, those teams were the powerhouse of the '70s. Okay, what else here? All right. If you like marathon events, I got one for you. 1991, the longest tennis match of the Australian Open, as Boris Becker beats Italy's Omar Campos in a match that took 5 hours and 11 minutes. Of course, that doesn't top like a playoff game or Academy Awards acceptance speech. Oh, sorry. Okay. In 1991, the World League of American Football, the New York Knights become the New York, New Jersey Knights. Does anyone remember the WLAF by any chance? Okay, next question. How many of you would like to forget it? No, it was horrible. Okay, 1996, baseball owners unanimously approved interleague play for 1997 and beyond. In 1998, Robert Parrish number was retired. It was number 0. Boston Celtic. Ah, well. In 1998, Larry Bird returns to Boston as head coach of the Indiana Pacers for the first time. As a former Celtics center Robert Parrish is honored by having his number 0 raised to the Raptors at the Fleet Center. Oh yeah, remember that. And football news: the Patriots beat the Colts 24-14 in 2004. On the NFC side, the Panthers beat the Eagles 14-3. Steve, I know you missed those days, right? Right. 2009, the Steelers beat the Ravens 32-14. Over on the NFC side, in the championship game, the Cardinals beat the Eagles 32-25. That was a good game right there. Wow. 2015 AFC, the Patriots beat the Colts 45-7. Awful. And in 2015, the Seahawks beat the Packers in overtime 20-22. That was a great game. All right, guys, just ready to wrap it up. Saul's coming in a few minutes, so I want to make room for him. I want to thank everybody for joining in today. I know there's two great games on today, so I'm not surprised that some of them are watching the game right now. Doesn't shock me at all. Next week we are going to take care of the conference championships, which we play next Sunday. We're also going to recap the college championship game, so I want to get your thoughts on that for happening after the game there. And we'll also take care of the tennis, the Australian Open Championship. So I'm gonna make way for Rasal now, and we'll be here again next week, same time, same station. On that note, good night and have a good week.